Greetings, my YouTube family. Thank you so much for visiting my channel. Today, I'm going to talk about how to specifically buy the shares for VOO, which is an exchange-traded fund managed by Vanguard. And on part one, I gave you a brief background about what is VOO and what are the holdings and their past performance as compared to the S&P 500. And now I'm just then going to show you the practical way of buying the shares. Now, I'm going to also disclaimer that this is not financial advice. This is just for educational purpose. But for those who don't know me, my name is Isaac Jonas, and I started this YouTube channel to pretty much share educational content on personal finance and investing. And I am an economist by academic training, but I also like to invest in the stock markets. I'm a retail investor, particularly in the US and Canadian stock exchanges. And I like to write books, and I have an upcoming book that is going to be on the market pretty soon. And I'm going to, like I said, walk you through how to specifically buy these shares. So the first thing is, if you want to buy this particular exchange traded fund, if it meets your goals, the first thing is you must have a brokerage account. In other words, this can be from a financial institution. In Canada, there are quite a number of them, and in the US. So it depends on which part of the world that you are in. So once you have that brokerage account, that would then enable you to deposit money and then buy those shares. Other people, they go to a bank or a fund manager, then they do that on their behalf. What I'm talking about specifically relates to what I call self-directed investing. I do my own investments. Now this particular ETF, I was recording this on the 24th of January 2024, and it was trading at $447.85 when I checked it out. And you see that if I click on the buy on my brokerage account, then it gives me the option of buying. Let's say I put one share, I can change this as I like. And you notice that here I will have searched the VOO, which is the ticker name for this particular exchange traded fund. And then it then gives me the option to buy. Do I want to buy it right away? Or if I want to buy right away, I can then change this to market, which means buy now at the prevailing rate. And if I want to sell, it's the same modus operandi. And you can see that other statistics here that this is a very it had a very good volume here, about 4.88 million. So some days are good, sometimes it depends on what's going on in the market, right? If there's economic news or stuff happening. So it is very good to understand these things like the liquidity, the holdings, like I explained in the other video. And then you see that the fees here, they are pretty much very negligible, because it's I think about 3 cents if you want to buy per share, 0.03%. So it is negligible. So in terms of the merits, this is a very interesting and particularly a diversified exchange traded fund. You see that it is broadly exposed the same way to the top 500 listed companies in the US domestic market that are publicly listed. So having or owning one share of this particular ETF, it means you have exposure to those companies that are part of that basket of stocks that are within this ETF, like Apple in this particular case when I last checked. So Microsoft, Nvidia, those top companies, and there are 505 of them as at this recording when I checked on the Vanguard website. So this is good. They're very low fees, 0.03%, like I said, compared to buying one share using my broker. I would be paying $4.95 per transaction, but in this case it's close to zero, right? So these things, they are very advantageous in the long term, because it can eat away or reduce the annual return. So I like those funds or securities that have low fees in terms of buying and selling them. And then for tax efficiency, for me, when I invest, I have long term in mind, so I like to just buy and hold. So in this case, this will be a very good ETF, because that would not trigger a lot of tax to be paid to the government. Like all good things in life, this exchange traded fund also comes with some risks. Investing is a risk if you don't know or don't understand what you're investing your money in. So you find that market risk, if let's say one of the 505 holdings that VOO currently holds uh, underperforms, or let's say in the worst case scenario they declare bankruptcy, that means it might actually affect the performance depending on the weight of that particular security. And inflation, in Canada and the US, the inflation has been going up, but somewhat decreased towards the end of the year. But at the beginning of the year, it was on an upward trend. So that in real terms can reduce the return. Let's say if the return in the year is 12% and inflation is 5%, it means if you say 12% minus 5%, then the real return in that case would be 7%, which is not bad. But if inflation is, let's say, 1%, then it means in real terms the return would be 11% minus the other fees, depending also on the account that you would have invested in. And the liquidity risk, it is fairly liquid, and that is an important thing to consider, because sometimes you want to get out, and if there is no liquidity, you can be stuck in that particular security. So this offers good liquidity. So I like it, even though I don't own any, because it's very similar to the one like SPY that I did videos on. That is the ETF that is managed by SP Global. So that's it for this ETF, and I will be sharing more of this content in the future. So if you haven't subscribed on this channel, please consider doing so if this is of interest to you. And until next time, peace. Thank you.